Warren Newport Public Library. Welcome to another edition of Kids in the Kitchen. Today we're going to make pumpkin bread with chocolate chips. What a good fall recipe. Before we get started, let's make sure your work surfaces are clean, your hands are washed, and if you have long hair, please pull it back. All right, let's get started. This recipe came from the Complete Baking Book for Young Chefs. This is from the Test Kitchen, and this book is available at the library, so check it out. Some of the ingredients in our bread will be pumpkin, chocolate chips, just like it says in the recipe, oil, cinnamon, flour, baking soda, baking powder, white sugar, brown sugar, 2 eggs, a little salt, and some milk. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is put some of our dry ingredients together. That means 1½ cups of flour, a ½ teaspoon baking soda, and a teaspoon of baking powder. Come on out. And we're going to whisk them together. I'm just using a little bitty whisk. Just whisk them together, just mixing them about well, that's all. All right, we're going to set that aside. Now we're going to put together our milk and our eggs. 2 tablespoons of milk and 2 eggs. And my eggs happen to be brown. You can buy eggs that are white, buy eggs that are brown. Depends on where you get them. 1 egg, 2 eggs. Now this recipe, some of the ingredients gets mixed on the stove. So these are just the things we can do on the table. So now I'm going to just whisk them together, making sure that the milk and the eggs are combined really well. All right, now we're going to move over to the stove. So I'll see you in just a minute. Now some of these ingredients get mixed together on the stove. So we're going to put in the pumpkin, the salt, the cinnamon, and the nutmeg. And we're going to stir that, mix it really well, and bring it to a boil. Now this may take a few minutes. And by cooking things together like this with spices, it releases the oils in the spices, so it makes it even more fragrant. You'll see as you're making this, your house is going to smell wonderful. So you're going to bring it just to a boil. You're not boiling it, you're just bringing it up to a temperature. This will take probably 4 to 6 minutes. So I'll see you back in a few minutes. Okay, I brought my pumpkin and spice mixture just to a boil, and then I let it sit for 10 minutes so that it could cool. You can either move it off the stove totally, or you can just move it to a burner that you're not using. All right, next I'm going to add my 2 eggs and my 2 tablespoons of milk that earlier I whisked. Whisk them together and they're ready. Okay, now for this part of the recipe I like to use a bigger whisk. So I'm going to take my spoon out. And I'm going to do it right in the pan that I have the pumpkin in, because there's no sense to dirtying another pan. I'm just combining them very well. Once you take it off the stove, you can add the brown sugar and the white sugar. I'm going to add the sugar and the brown sugar. All right. Next, we're going to add our flour mixture. There we go. I also, when I added the brown sugar and the white sugar, added the oil. Doesn't that look nice? Now you could also add nuts to this. I am not, but you could if you wanted to. The last thing we have to add are our chocolate chips. So I have 3/4 of a cup of chocolate chips. I'm going to gently just turn it over and mix them in, and that's it. Now you might want to preheat your oven to 350 degrees if you haven't already. Otherwise, you might want to turn it on. Now before we get ready to put this in the pan, I'm going to spray my loaf pan. Now you can always use a Pullman's pan, which is a long, shallower pan. You could use a bundt pan if you wanted to, and they also make like baby bundt pans. I've used those. Because there's oil in this bread, it's very unlikely that it would stick. All right, here it goes. What a nice batter. There we go. So I like to tap it down a little bit, just like this. Okay, we're going to put this in the oven for 50 minutes to an hour. And when you put a toothpick in it or a knife that comes out clean, it's done. So I'll see you in a little while. Welcome back. It looks like our bread is done. When I took it out of the oven, the 350 degree oven, I let it sit in the pan on the stove for 10 minutes before I took it out. Then I took it out. I like to use like a spatula and just go around the edges, and then I just turned it and it fell right out. Because there's oil in this, it tends to not stick to the pan, which is perfect. All right, let's cut a piece. Oh, looks good. Look at all those chocolate chips. Cuts very nice. What a wonderful bread. Oop, I broke that piece. That's okay. Enjoy your fall treat. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.